Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I'm here today with Jamie Moran and, of course, Infinite Umbra, and we have one heck of a 90-minute show for you. 3 topics that we're going to be breaking down, and we're going to open up with what's been going on with Pete Hines. Now, I'm not going to give you my spiel because I did it yesterday. So I don't want to sound like a broken record. I do want to read my tweets that got a lot of support from the community, very little pushback from even from the trolls, surprisingly enough. I think the last time I checked, I think it was like it was viewed like 16,000 times. So I want to read that. I was supposed to read it yesterday, and I got lost in, I'm an old man's folks, so I got lost in my chain of thoughts, and I didn't read it. So I want to read it for context. And of course, then we're going to get Jamie and Umbra to step in and give their thoughts. Again, it's just another week where the rhetoric is Xbox bad, everyone else is good, and they're the blame for everything. If it's not the Series S holding back the generation, it's Xbox Game Pass hurting developers, publishers, and again, we've talked about it to the point of nauseum, where Xbox seems to be at the crux of every issue that the industry is currently having, but no one talks about what the actual industry problems are. It's pretty funny, but we will get to the bottom of it, ladies and gentlemen. But that's not it. Yesterday, we got a confirmation from Xbox themselves about their plans for the Tokyo Game Show, and they mentioned some of their studios having these big updates. I have a strong suspicion that listen, I've talked to a couple of people behind the scenes, and the running rumor is, of course, that Forza Horizon 6 is going to be announced in Japan, at Japan's Tokyo Game Show. It is going to bring down the house, but folks, I don't think that's the only surprise that we're going to get. Square Enix is going to be there in a big way. I don't know if you guys and gals saw yesterday. Nate the Hate, and again, take this with a grain of salt, says that the second part of Final Fantasy VII will be releasing for both the Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox Series consoles in 2026. He didn't specifically say when. And I think, and again, folks, this is me just spitballing. I have a feeling, and I don't have this confirmed, it's just a gut feeling, that if you're going to make a splash on a game that is very old, Final Fantasy VII Remake is an old game. It's several years old. Now, that doesn't make it not great. I cannot wait to play it on my Xbox, and I will beat that game. But I have a strong suspicion that in order to make a big splash on Xbox, that not only could be shadow dropped at the event, and it makes perfect sense to do so, I'm going to add an additional caveat to that. I think it could drop into Xbox Game Pass. I mean, again, that's me, I guess fanboy dreaming, but we'll see. We're also going to get into Machine Games doing some teasing regarding the third game in what they're calling a trilogy for, of course, BJ Blazkowicz and the Wolfenstein franchise. Great big question that we're going to be asking is how long before that game shows up, considering that Machine Games is working on quite a few games. But Jamie Moran, good morning, kind sir. How are you feeling?
Hey man, I'm good. It's going to be an interesting time because TGS is around the corner. I've been babbling on about Final Fantasy for like 5 years now, so it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and it's an exciting time to be a gamer. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing so many games. Obviously, folks, I know there's going to be some chatter. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm looking at a different screen, so I apologize if you asked what game this is. This is Junt Slayer, Hordes of Hell. It is a Norse mythology vampire survivors that is so freaking good. I mean, I know, Umbra, you were saying, man, Boom, you really do like those games. You know what it is? It's because of the way those games are made. You do a run, right? First of all, being able to shut your console down because you got to go make dinner or you got to go finish the wash or something is always great, because a quick resume is the greatest thing in gaming. And it doesn't get enough credit. But this is one of those games that you just want to keep unlocking the powers, keep upgrading the gods. It's $20 for the regular edition, 25 for the upgraded what was it, the collector's edition? I don't know even what it's called, but it's worth your time. If you're a fan of Vampire Survivors, if you're a fan of some of the games I've already played and showed you on the screen, you should definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun. You're gonna see I got quite a bit of footage. I have to actually put this. This is actually running off of a memory stick because I record it on the stick. I bring it to the computer. I make the videos, and then we go. I haven't had a chance. Life has just been.
Which one is this one, Boom?
This is called Junt Slayer.
Oh, Jolton.
Of
Jolton.
Hell. Yes.
Jolton Slayer.
Yes.
Jolton, brother.
Infinite number. How you feeling? Good morning. Well, yeah, it is good morning in Chicago. How you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
I'm feeling all right. You know, the temperatures have cooled down out there. I prefer it this way.
They have.
Yes, I like it when it's more chilly and cool out. So it's getting there for me. I'm good, man. I've been playing a bunch of things right here. It's funny, by the way. I'm looking at this, and they have Loki looking stereotypically as he does in Marvel.
Yes, he does. Yeah, it looks like Loki for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how like some other things can influence like literal legends. Like this is a myth of these gods, and yet Loki is so popular in Marvel that he's influenced other versions of him across different forms of games and media. Well, that said, yeah, man, and having a bunch of good times with a bunch of good games lately. You've seen me talking about Shinobi. You all may have seen my tweets and stuff about it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I got news for you. You seem to be a Sega kid. Guess what, brother? Sega's coming back in a big way. They put out a post where there are 4 empty slots.
I saw.
Panzer Dragoon is getting a remake. Yeah, so I'm very excited for that. That's going to be available for $25.
Are we looking at a Sega Renaissance?
I think we're going to look. I think first of all, Sega has confirmed that they're going to be there. They have a couple of, according to them, some big surprises.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you're going to get a Jet Set Radio reveal. That's just my take. Maybe Crazy Taxi. Maybe.
I mean, we did see some of them already, kind of like.
We did
announce, right? Yeah, Crazy Taxi, like you said, Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Future.
There's a new Streets of Rage. There's a new Golden Axe that's on the way.
Axe. We already got Shinobi that they promised, so that's out of the way.
I mean, there's a new Virtual Fighter potentially releasing as well.
That's right. A lot of good stuff coming, man. But as far as Shinobi, man, I've beaten it 4 times. I put like
dude. I saw you 70 hours you've had in that game for a game that's 14 hours to beat. Wow.
Yeah. That's how much I loved it. Like I was just entrenched into that game and in the world, and I got all the achievements. The hardest one being, 2 hardest being like no hit run.
Jesus,
once you get really, really good, though, it's not as hard for that one. But getting an S rank for every mission, every combat mission at least, that was kind of tough because
I bet it was. I bet it was, but
it was kind of tough until you kind of learn the parameters. But yeah, that was just a good time. And I have to get through Ninja Gaiden for Ragebound soon. Okay. But I also now jumped on Silk Song. So as you can see, Infinite Silk Song, if you all hadn't noticed.
I did see that. Yes, sir. I did
Silk
notice
Song
that.
is tough. It's tough, man.
It has
rewarding.
It's rewarding. When you learn the boss battles, and I fought about two or 3 bosses so far.
Yeah,
you get your teeth kicked in initially. That's just the way it works. But eventually, you figure it out. But
yeah, excellent game though. You all see the scores it's gotten so far on Open
Critic,
dude.
It's I think on Open Critic it's a 10, dude. It's a perfect score. Now there is some controversy because there is a 9 out of 10, but everyone else is giving it 10. So why it's not a 9.999? I don't know how these things work.
I guess the aggregate favors it toward the 100. But one of them I saw was 8.6 or something like that.
I got news for you. I'm excited to see who wins out Game of the Year. But I originally thought Expedition 33 was a lock. I don't know anymore with this game. This game, I just think that this game is. It's. I'll put it this way. As much as like a lot of people like Death Stranding 2 is going to be in there, as it should be. It's a gorgeous looking game. My brother's absolutely loving every second that he plays it. I'm going to play it on Xbox. I cannot wait. They added a lot of Metal Gear to this game because a lot of people complained about its boringness from the first one, which I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was boring. it's a you're the point of loneliness is a part of the game. If you listen to Kojima talk about it, it's there for a reason. Again, I don't want to get too much into it, but I really I put 60 hours into Death Stranding 1 on the PS4. Yes, and I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to, but I did enjoy it. That's going to be Game of the Year potential.
It's going to be a contender. Yeah.
Yeah, you also
I still hold
another...
true to Donkey Kong, of course. I still think Donkey Kong Bonanza will be there.
Oh my God, this is going to be there's going to be some snubs, folks. There is going to be some snubbing going on. But look, gentlemen, I want to get into the big topic of the show, or at least one of them, because the Tokyo Game Show is a monster-sized topic. So obviously, over the weekend, Pete Hines was interviewed by DoubleTap.com. Okay, I have already added the story if you want to read it. It is very lengthy. Pete goes through his career pretty extensively. And there's a lot of really, exciting things if you're a fan of Pete Hines. And there's also some stuff towards the back end, which is what brought in the controversy. So what was posted is a couple of quotes from Pete. Where he goes on to say, gentlemen and chat, the tension of Game Pass is hurting a lot of people, including the content creators themselves, meaning the developers. He goes on to say, and this is where I think it gets a little sticky, if you ask me, they're fitting into an ecosystem that is not properly valuing and rewarding what they're making. And I just think that when you say that back to back, you are implying that somehow Game Pass is at the core of the problems that developers are having. And Jamie, and Umbra and chat, I didn't get a chance to read this yesterday, but this was my response to this posting. And then I've already said how disgusted I am as a human being when a millionaire tries to come down to our level, meaning the consumer, and tell us that something like Xbox Game Pass is hurting developers and that some of their wares are not being represented or appreciated the way that they should. Well, you know what? I don't want to say that's the business, but it's not Xbox Game Pass's fault. Black hole games, meaning those games that people play for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, and sink a couple of bucks in when they're feeling a little bit generous or froggy. That is what happened to the industry. Game Pass, yes, you heard Phil Spencer say it. It has disrupted the industry, but it also has disrupted the industry in a good way, because for every one or two negative Christopher Dring stories you hear about him speaking to a developer or three, there are 50 stories of triumph and success through Game Pass. So again, I don't think that targeting Xbox Game Pass in the way that the Series S was targeted for holding back the industry, I think it's a lot of BS, if you ask me. But let me read my my tweet, and then we'll bring Jamie and Ember in to get their thoughts. I wrote this, folks. The industry obsession with Xbox Game Pass somehow being bad for the industry and a detriment to creators is complete bullshit. The free-to-play model is to blame for people not playing new games. If anything, Xbox Game Pass gives developers of every size a place to thrive and actually have gamers see their creations. Every Game Pass release is a community event, hence having people see both old and new games in the service. End quote. Jamie, again, I am not going to speak too much on it because I've already given my point and I don't want to be like a broken record, but I haven't heard your point. I haven't heard the point of Umbra, and you guys really bring a significant intelligence to the conversations that we have every Tuesday. And I want to get your thoughts on this because, again, if you just look at the long line or the list of former C-level executives that either worked for Xbox or worked in the industry, there is a running narrative with all of them. And it's that they have a lot of time in the industry. They're vetted. They have everyone that I'm going to mention has over 20 years. Some of them even more than 20 years, 25 plus years in the industry. And I hate to say this, it's not that their opinions are not valid. I think everyone's opinion is valid to some extent. I just think that they have an old guard way of thinking. And I don't think that their opinions match with what is happening in today's ecosystems. They're changing, they're rapidly changing. People's buying habits have changed because the world has changed. Everything is more expensive, and entertainment, especially when it comes to buying games at full boat, is going to be lessened because people have less money that's disposable. But I want to get your thoughts on what Pete had to say, and more importantly, what we've heard from Sean Layden. Because of course he came out and said, you know what, Pete's right on. It's the spot with that, because he's just being a troll. I think there is a point of Sean Layden having a good conversation about the industry, and I think there's been a lot of rhetoric from him recently that's just ultimately trolling. But what are your thoughts, man?
Phew, the endless and weekly barrage against Xbox Game Pass. It's a non-stop thing. You know what's weird? You have these people come out of the woodwork. Maybe that sounds a bit too harsh, but you have these people come out of the woodwork and just randomly on a day with no news, just bash Game Pass. You have another executive like Sean Layden agreeing, like, oh, nail on the head or whatever. But when when Pete Hines was with Xbox, he never said a bad word about Game Pass. Now, you could say, well, that's because he was working for Microsoft. That is a solid point. However, we also should bring up that so he was just lying, right? Because he never once said, oh, I couldn't say while I was working for Microsoft that I think Game Pass is bad. Nope, nobody asked. It's just a bit odd. We hear all these success stories about Game Pass, all these developers that they've had sometimes their entire budgets paid for, right? Because the gaming business is risky as hell. If you go to the Xbox store right now or any other game store, just scroll down, right? You're going to see an endless list of, games that, I'll be honest, nobody really cares about, right? You're going to see games that are complete asset flips, right? Across the board. And it's hard for games to get discovered. It really is. Back when the 360 was around, we had Xbox Summer of Arcade. That was a hell of a way for indie developers to get recognized on the store, and it works. And this time, you don't really have that, but you have Game Pass, which also technically funds these games. So why do we never see these interviews with developers that have had success? Because we have more people that come out and say that, hey, Game Pass is good. It did my game some good or whatever, right? Why do these people never get interviewed? Yes, Pete Hines, he used to work for Xbox. Yes, he's technically credible because he did work for Xbox, but come on, right? Sean Layden worked for PlayStation, right? Judgmental against Xbox in every capacity, never against PlayStation, always talking about how these companies, like, they're just against us, they want our money. And who does he work for now? Tencent. Like, come on, man. Like, really? You really trying? Like, it's so blatantly obvious at this point. Like, look, Game Pass, whether people like it or not, was an industry shaker. It was. Now, the thing about Game Pass versus Netflix, and by the way, all the people that complain about Game Pass, I know for a fact they have Netflix. You have all these people complaining that, oh, it's going to be the end of like gaming or whatever. Like, 99% of games that come out don't launch in the service. They just don't. And if you go to the top paid games section, if there's a hot new release, maybe it's Mafia the Old Country or, Metal Gear Solid or whatever, like those games are at the top of the store because people are buying them, right? The a thing came out the other day about the physical sales, Xbox versus PlayStation versus Nintendo, and Xbox's numbers were extremely low, right? Now, this game I'm about to mention, a lot of people may have never heard of. And as someone that makes videos about upcoming games, the name itself would put people off. So this game is called Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion.
Yep, I bought it. I bought the collector's edition for the Switch too.
Right. I played the demo. Let me tell you, bloody good. Yeah. Damn good. Right.
Really good.
Really good. If you like anime, if you like mech suits, oh my God, you're going to be all over that. And that game, it didn't really have much advertising. Like in the UK, and people are saying, "Oh, this 4% sales on Xbox is like it's the end." Right? Let me tell you, the physical gaming market basically died in 2012, 2012/2013, and Xbox kind of gravitated towards digital sales for the past decade, right? More than a decade now. So like, that doesn't surprise me. And people keep saying like, "Oh, this is why the industry's failing. It's Xbox. It's people not buying the games because of Game Pass." Like, no, right? We always hear about this like the console game market hasn't grown over 200 million players in 20 years, right? Now, these executives that we've just been talking about, all these journalists that I'm going to talk about, they never mentioned what we were saying before the show. They never mentioned the elephant in the room, right? They never mentioned that. Isn't it strange how, there's over 8 billion people on Earth, and for some reason, we don't have over 200 million console players? Why is no one asking that question? Yes, the PC player base, it's grown, but like, why are people not buying consoles like they used to? Like, yeah, the sales of the Xbox technically good, the Switch sales good, PlayStation good, but the market hasn't grown at all, right? It's because of these black hole games. That's the thing that people should be, complaining about. You should have, Pete Hines complaining about the black hole games. You know why? Because his company, Bethesda, which you work for, they mainly put out one game every few years that had to sell really well, right? Elder Scrolls, you'd have a long gap between that and their next game, and that would be their big seller for several years. Same with Fallout, and then go back to Elder Scrolls, and then back to Fallout, and then with Starfield, right? They were sold to Microsoft because they wanted to, because if they don't have a sure hit, they are done, right? So you have these black hole games, right? You have millions of new games coming in the fold, right? I've heard this, what I'm about to say, I've cringed at so many times. I got into gaming with Fortnite, right? Really think about that. I got into gaming with Fortnite, a free-to-play game. There's a lot of people that are starting gaming with Fortnite, with Warzone, with Apex, with Fall Guys, any free-to-play experience, right? And the concept of even buying a piece of hardware is alien to them to play games, because they'll maybe play games on their phone, maybe their siblings or parents, Xbox, PlayStation, or PC or whatever, right? We aren't getting new console gamers, right? Game Pass is the big thing on console. It's big on PC, but it's big on console, right? It's allowing people to actually experience different games that they maybe never have played. I've seen people, and I've heard about people that only play games like Fortnite, Warzone, these free-to-play games, and they've actually tried Game Pass to try other genres, right? The problem is, sorry, I'm all over the place. I've barely slept. The problem.
No. Listen, brothers. This is a conversation that we need to have, and it doesn't matter which angle you come at it from. It's important information.
Yeah. So like these executives, these journalists, they never talk about the black hole game problem, because, and I say this, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, right? All these people that are buying free-to-play games, their battle passes, right? Their skin, right? There are like £30 skins in these games. It's ridiculous, right? That's the price of a game. And these people, they aren't playing other games. So ask yourself this question: 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, who's buying these big budget single-player games? It's everyone here, right? And then what, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, who's buying these single-player games? I'm telling you, there's not going to be many people, right? Because people are just growing up with single player stuff. Sorry, with free to play stuff. These, free to play slop, I'm going to call it, right? And in the meantime, you have these executives come out thinking, how can we solve the problem? We'll just charge them more. Idiots, right? Like,
I'm wrong.
Like Pete Hines, like, look, he worked for Xbox, he worked for Bethesda. He clearly knows what he's talking about. But the problem is that every single time one of these people that especially used to work for Microsoft come out say things like this, they don't sound legitimate. They sound bitter. Every single time. You have Mike Ybarra, who everyone in the Xbox community likes because he talked to everyone, really chill with everyone. And then what happened? He was fired from Microsoft technically twice.
Yes.
And one day he just randomly says that, oh yeah, maybe gamers should be able to tip developers.
Yes, I remember that.
We could throw this into the conversation as well, because it's the same bloody topic, right? Money. take, money. That's all they care about. That's one of the reasons why I always go on this endless parade of, complaining about game prices, complaining about the video game budgets, because it's not Game Pass. It's ballooned game budgets that are the problem. It's black hole games that aren't bringing in new players to premium gaming, I'll call it, right? And like that's the problem. None of these people want to talk about. I'm not an analyst, right? I'm not this like ex-CEO, right? But clearly I know what the hell I'm talking about, right? These people do it and they sound bitter. And back to the whole like tipping developer thing, that thing sent me over the edge, by the way. We are told on a daily basis we should pay $80 to $100 for games. We get battle passes in some premium titles. We have skins costing upwards of £30. You have DLC on some games on Steam that have like thousands of pounds worth of DLC. You have us told that the gaming industry is changing. There's tariffs. There's all this stuff. They need to charge us more. But guess what we get in return? Nothing, right? Visuals look slightly better than they used to, right? But why are we told that we should be charged more for video games? Let's blame Game Pass. But why am I told that I should pay $80 for this, for whatever upcoming game, for whatever reason? Game prices already went up 5 years ago. And if you're Microsoft and Nintendo, game prices already went up 2 years ago, right? So why are we told game prices should go up? Because of tariffs? People need to shut up about the tariffs thing, right? It's not tariffs, right? There's a problem with the game industry. I keep talking about this because it's a huge bloody problem and nobody's talking about it, right? The black hole game thing is the big one. But I think that, us talking about this hopefully like gets people like starting a conversation, because like, look, I put out a post the other day on Twitter and it was just a post I just randomly thought up. I mentioned the game prices of all the successful games this year. I didn't have enough space for everything, but ranging from $50 to $20. You have Expedition 33, $50. You have Oblivion, $50. You have, Silksong, $20, right? And I mentioned that game budgets are a big problem. They need to manage them better. We live in a time when, The Witcher 4 is going to cost $400 million, right? And, that game has to be an instant success the day it comes out. Will it? More than likely. But my point is that there's many massive problems with the game industry. Game Pass isn't a problem, right? We've been charged to the nose every day, and Game Pass lets people to save some money and maybe put their money towards games they maybe wouldn't have bought because they've been able to save that. I keep seeing people like defending price hikes and all this stuff, yet they hate Game Pass. Like, why do you want to be nickel and dimes? So anyway, back to this post when I mentioned all these game prices, right? I didn't really think about it. It has like over 33,000 likes and almost 700 replies, right?
Wow,
most people, and 2.2 million views.
By the way, that's engagement, brother.
Yeah. By the way, if everyone that viewed that post, watch my YouTube videos. That'd be appreciated. But seriously, like,
I love it. That's good stuff, man.
When it comes to the Twitter thing, like even though there was a lot of angry people in there, most people agreed with me, right?
Now, this is the one you talked about, dear video game publishers, correct?
Just the video game price situation.
Yeah. Well, you talked about I mean, first of all, let me read it. I'm going to add this tweet, so if you guys and gals, I'll drop it in the link so you can check it out, so you can give Jamie some props for this. Jamie went on to say, dear video game publishers, raising the price of games won't help. Manage your budgets better and make games that work day one. And he has a bunch of games listed here. Every one of these games, at least in my opinion, are a banger and were made at a budget price. And of course, he didn't have enough room for Gears of War Reloaded, which of course wasn't a full price game. But he has Expedition 33 at $50, Oblivion Remake at $50, Split Fiction at $50, Grounded 2 at $30, Mafia, the Old Country at $50, Helldivers 2 at $40, and Silksong. This is tip of spear or cherry on top of the banana boat sundae, folks, at $20. Right now, how do you argue that these games? I mean, look, Oblivion is selling like hotcakes. It was they call it a remaster. We know it's a remake. Expedition 33 is going to be in for Game of the Year at $50. Silksong is going to be at the end of the year conversation for Game of the Year. Helldivers 2 was exploded on Xbox. Mafia didn't sell as well as some of the originals. A lot of people are disappointed with. I don't know if you even got to 2 million sales. I know it sold less on Xbox than on PlayStation 5. Grounded 2, gangbuster, right? Obviously, it's in preview, but it did really well. Split Fiction, what could you say about that team? They just keep hitting. That's Fairs, Joseph Fairs' team. What could you say about his games? They're all bangers. And again, it's Expedition 33 came out of completely nowhere. Could possibly win it all this year for being an incredible experience. Jamie, please continue, brother.
Yeah, it's just we hate it from these executives that just randomly pop out and say, "Oh yeah, Game Pass bad," right?
Yeah.
But why can't these people that say Game Pass bad talk about why do so many developers sign up for it? Right? Why do so many developers that have like praised the service they don't get talked about? Two of the biggest games of this year, which is going to be the Game of the Year conversation, have been in Game Pass at launch. You have Expedition 33 and Silksong. Do you know when Silksong came out, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Steam crashed?
All 4 stores crashed.
Yeah.
All 4 stores went down. I said this on Friday, and I just want to add some context. I've been gaming since 1978, so I'm an old man, ladies and gentlemen. And in all of the years of gaming, I have never seen a game take down every freaking store in gaming. That was a $20 game by by Team Cherry called Silksong. It's a follow-up that took 6 years to come out, and it is currently on Open Critic a perfect freaking score. Yeah, Jamie, that's big news.
Yeah, and these developers, they've had praise about Xbox Game Pass, but no, let's talk about the one bit of executive that.
Yeah.
I like Pete Hines, but like some of these posts, I just don't get it. Right? You work for Microsoft for years. You work with Microsoft for even longer, and then the second you leave, by the way, Game Pass bad. Right? Microsoft, they are technically third in the console sales business. Yet, what's everyone else trying to chase at the minute? Right? What's PlayStation trying to chase at the minute? It's engagement, right?
Indeed,
monthly
sir.
active users, right? Because while game sales, game sales are important. Hell yeah, they do. They are. But like, these games having people engaged all the time, it's a metric which all these companies talk about now. Not even just gaming, right? Engagement is the metric, right? It's not just dollars, because the metrics of engagement equates to dollars, right? My point is that, like, look, what Pete Hines said, I don't agree with him. Like, look, could I be completely wrong? Absolutely. But at least I've came out and like said more about it today, right? There's developers that talk about how good Game Pass is. The Game Pass has saved a lot of like smaller developers, right? So like my point is that it infuriates me that we don't see Pete Hines or these big gaming executives not look at the massive free-to-play problem, right? Never mention that there's new gamers coming into the fold playing like premium games. They never talked about this stuff. And it's so annoying. And like I always talk about the game price thing. We're always told, and we always hear from these publishers that, yeah, game prices going up is going to solve the problem. It won't, because you know what happened when game prices went up to $70 in 2020? From that point, I heard, especially British people, I heard more people than ever say, you know what, I'm going to wait for a sale. Because a game isn't just $10 more or £10 more, right? That's $10 people want to save. That's $10 or £10 that people think, you know what, if I wait for a sale for 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be down that much. So why not? And all these companies, they base their sales metrics off basically the first 1 to 3 weeks, right? It's unfortunate it works that way. Like, especially if you're a TV or an entertainment company like Netflix, if you don't watch their show or movie that week, they class it as a dud. you know? Yeah, by the way, what I'm talking about is, do you know Netflix had an entire cinematic universe planned out for a game called Jupiter Odyssey? Right? It was going to have movies, TV shows, animated shows, all connected like Marvel, and be this massive thing that runs for 20 years. And they cancelled the whole thing because not enough people watched it in the first week.
Wow, dude. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be like hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion, like entertainment brand, flushed down the drain because not enough people paid attention to it. day one. Crazy.
Yep.
But it's the same as gaming, right? And like, look at the gaming space right now. This is another thing people don't mention. Have you noticed that every game that's a hit is either a massive, big budget AAA, game with this absolutely massive marketing cycle behind it, right? Massive marketing campaign, right? Or it's a little indie game made by 5 people in someone's garage, right? You have to have this breakout hit day one, or no one talks about it. Like, if you go back 15 years ago, people were basically playing whatever game they wanted. There were lots of hits. That's why so many people have so much nostalgia over the 7th generation, because we had really good games perform really well all the time. We used to get multiple sequels each time. Like, if there's a game you liked in the 360 generation, there's a chance that you got a full trilogy for that game, right? In the same generation. But now, other than that, like, you have these games that most games fail. You have studios shutting down all the time. So unless you come out day one and you have this massive viral marketing success, like look at Silksong, right? Silksong, obviously a hit. Stars bloody crashed. But if you like something, let's name a big AAA game that was a huge success this year. We'll just use Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
These 2 games, obviously huge successes. Everything in between, I should say most games in between, don't get any limelight. Any limelight at all. And that's a problem. But that's just my take. I could be wrong, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you're spot on. I do. And I want to add I want to pass the microphone over to Infinite Umbra, but Infinite, before I bring it to you, brother, I want to bring up a particular quote that I have here. I don't know whether you guys remember this interview with Sean Layden from GameIndustry.biz. He goes on to say, and I'll read a little bit from it. It says, former PlayStation boss Sean Layden argues that video game prices should have increased with each generation to account for rising development costs, inflation, and stagnant prices over 2 decades. He suggests that the inability or unwillingness of publishers to raise prices has led to the dependency on transactions and a reluctance to fund risky new properties, instead favoring sequels. While the standard price has shifted to $70, Layden believes that $80 may be a necessary step, citing Nintendo's move to charge $80 for first-party games as a sign of a shift in the industry. See, this is what I'm talking about, folks. And if look what happened. Microsoft, what they wound up doing, they said $80 for our games in the fall, and people revolted. Right now, ultimately, I think it was a play to shift people to Game Pass. At least that's what I think on its surface. Is it greed? Potentially. They're like, well, if Nintendo can do it, well, we should do it too, right? And then, of course, they wind up, lowering the prices back to $70. You can only get so much blood from a stone, ladies and gentlemen. The world is expensive, and everything is costing more. Gaming shouldn't. I'm sorry. Like Jamie said, maybe you shouldn't have a $300 million budget. I don't know what to tell you. Do I want teams to be smaller and people to lose their jobs? Of course not. But they need to figure out a way, like the games that I just mentioned. Another one that's in there that was in Game Pass, but you can buy, Blueprints. It's going to be the end of the year indie, no doubt about it. Made by a couple of people. Again, it's. I mean, there are more stories of hits like that every year than there's ever been before. But I do think that, the ballooning budgets is a problem. And this is why Xbox Game Pass is fantastic. But, Umbra, I want to get your thoughts on some of the conversation behind Pete Hines. And, of course, Sean Layden did show up later on to be like, yeah, Pete's spot on with that comment because, he likes being a troll. I want to get your thoughts on both of these former C-level executives.
I think it's natural for us to already feel away with Sean Layden because he's always kind of been, I do this with air quote fingers, but kind of the enemy, right? So it's always felt disingenuous when he chimed in. Is almost like, well, of course you would say that,
yeah.
Right? So I don't know. And Jamie pointed out something that I've always been thinking with Sean Layden anyway. It's like, you're saying all that, but You're working for one of the people that do all the things you're complaining about with Microsoft. I don't understand that logic. You know, the consolidation of game of publishers is bad. Well, your company does that. So like I don't understand it. It just feels kind of, I think it might be the right message, maybe, but he's definitely the wrong messenger. So
I
I don't
1000%
really,
agree.
you know,
Yeah.
and I don't, and there's no shade to Sean Layden. I don't know if he's being disingenuous or not. I'm just saying, like, coming from him, it's not going to be received well from us, right? And so I just don't really trust that when it comes to him. Now, Pete Hines is questionable as well because we all felt the way with him back then on a few things, if you all recall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Broke Boy Insider, he's the insider. He said that he left or was fired from Tencent now. So
Well,
yeah,
you're talking about Layden.
Sean Layden.
Yes,
Yeah.
I didn't want to say because I didn't have it confirmed. I did think he was let go, so to speak.
I still stand by the thought though that I think old habits are hard to die, and his competitive nature of being pro PlayStation, I think, is going to have him kind of siding against Xbox in some fashion, one way or another. Right. Yeah. I don't have anything to substantiate outside of knowing how competitive Sony has always been against Microsoft and how unwilling and cooperative they've always presented themselves to be against them from marketing and everything else on how they've carried on business. So I don't know. But I just feel like he's probably the wrong person to push that message. You know what I mean? That said, it goes to Hines now. We go to Hines. Like I said, we all saw some things with him in the past where we all felt the way. If you all recall, it was the situation where he was like apologizing to the PlayStation gamers for Starfield and not going over there. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And we were all like, what are you apologizing for? They wouldn't, PlayStation guys wouldn't apologize. These companies that are absorbed by PlayStation or by Sony, should I say, they would not allow that. Sony wouldn't allow them to come out there talking about, I'm sorry. That would not happen.
No.
And so many of us were like, oh, yo, you're a little too free. You're a little too free at the mouth, right? So to speak. And I don't think that vibes with Pete's nature. Like he's probably used to being able to speak his mind freely and say what he has to say. But you're in a different environment. So it all struck, I think, all of them wrong. Now they won't admit this, but I find it really convenient that, right after that happens, he's gone no sooner than a few months later. So I don't know. Then of course there was the Redfall debacle. So, that's also partly on him. So I don't know. I just feel like it feels like, yeah, you all have, it may feel a bit agenda laden with them. Sean Layden is whatever. He's kind of been on this whole thing for a while. Pete Hines, I'm not going to try to write him off like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Sure, he does. Right? He has connects. He has people he knows and that still work there. And I'm sure some of them have relayed that to him. Now, that doesn't mean all of them feel that way. But in the economy and everything that we're in and the world moving the way it is right now and a lot of uncertainty, sure, I can imagine a lot of them are worried, right? And I don't think it necessarily has to do with the everyone's favorite scapegoat, Game Pass. You know what I mean? Necessarily.
I love that. Favorite scapegoat of the industry.
Oh yeah, the Game Pass is shortly followed up by the Series S. Like it's right, almost neck and neck. But I think Game Pass has surpassed it recently. Because the S slander has kind of died down. I think the Game Pass slander has been there for a long while and it's continued going. And it just feels like, okay. It just feels, it's the thing, like I said, it's tough to figure out if people are being genuine or if they're just like, oh, we got to tear down Game Pass because, it's on Xbox. So, bad versus if it were on Nintendo or Sony. I don't feel like we would be getting these type of remarks. I just really don't. I don't feel like it'll be as dire in these people's forecasts. And so part of Pete's point, and it was joined by Shannon Loftus, who was, of course, an Xbox Studios VP. So it does give him some credence, right? Outside from him having connects. And I don't know that Pete is a liar, so I don't want to try to write him off that way. I don't want this to come off that way. I just feel like he could be a bit salty, and those feelings come out differently when you're hearing from a few people, and you're like, hey, well, the guys are saying this, and you're running with that versus how the overall feeling is. But Shannon Loftus, he went out there saying that the majority of the games adopted on Game Pass, they come at the expense of retail revenue. I think now we've kind of known that there's going to be some sacrifices in sales if the game is on Game Pass, right? And that's not to say that we don't buy games still there. We clearly do. I downloaded for instance, Silk Song on Game Pass, played a good hour or 2 or 3, and then bought it immediately after that. And
I actually bought it on the Switch and the Xbox.
Oh, look at that!
Because I want to support Team Cherry. I bought
Team
both.
Cherry deserves it, and the pricing obviously factors in. The quality of what we know Team Cherry has given us factors in, and also that. So it shows that we will buy these games if they a lot of other factors got to be there. Are they great games? Is it reasonably priced? That's you couldn't ask for. I saw the map recently for Silk Song. That map is almost as gigantic as probably as gigantic as Hollow Knight. It's not a small game, right? Like that's $20 for superb quality. You can't beat that. And then like Jamie named the other games that are coming out that or you named some of them as well. Mafia, for instance, $50. Helldivers 2, people have mentioned $40, right? Expedition 33, I think $50. So and these are game of the year quality titles. That some of these Hollow Knight and Silk Song and Mafia, not Mafia, Expedition 33 being 2 of them. So you have all these games here. And so it does make it incentivize people to play these more or buy those more rather, because it's reasonably priced. Again, we're all in this kind of economic situation where we don't just have this I'm just going to splurge and buy this. We just don't have that anymore. And we're seeing that reflected, I think, all across the board. But the scapegoat of Game Pass and going to Jamie's point, and everybody has made, a few people have made this point, and it's just true. When the bigger issue are these black hole games, where if you look at the recent sales chart, I don't know if you all saw that.
Oh yeah, I just saw it.
You saw that where it's on both PlayStation and Xbox, most of the top
the 5 up to the 5th game, they're all the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. And then there's I think there's a few deviations. Helldivers being I think number
6 for Xbox,
6 or something like that. Okay, and but mostly it's these service games, these live service games, and that is the fear, I think, if anything, and I've kind of worried about that as well. That what I will say is that I worry that these games could suffer, or the games being made by these people could cause a creative issue where they feel like they have to make service games as well, and I don't want Microsoft to go that route. I really hope they don't. And one of his other complaints, or at least his reasoning, should I say, was talking about game studios being closed down from Microsoft. And obviously people tend to ignore Sony when it comes to this, but people ignore one big red herring, and that is Microsoft didn't just get rid of these people because they reached 10 million players or 3 million players like Hi-Fi Rush, which still hurts my soul, but they reached this, but they still let them go. Well, there's a big underlying factor there, and that is just outside of Xbox, Microsoft cleared out so many people because of the 80 billion price tag of them investing in AI, and people keep ignoring that. This is why this happened. It's not because you all weren't reaching the quotas we need, and so we're going to have to get rid of these teams. No, it's because of Microsoft proper. We're clearing out 80 billion. That's a B.
With a B. But you made mention of that.
So, so they have to. So now that business decision is forced down into other teams, unfortunately. And I don't like it. And none of us here do. And in these teams, they're going to look at what value these teams can bring, more immediate. And that was what Matt Booty spoke on about who had the more mapped out I guess outlaying plans for future, for the future games and things like that. Well, unfortunately, Tango didn't have anything concrete, so they were on a chopping board. Now, again, none of us like it. I hate it. I spoke against it many times in the past when it happened. I don't like it. I feel like Microsoft has so much money; they should be, keeping these teams, obviously. But that's, from my fan perspective, I understand that as a business, it's way different, right? And I'm not trying to give them a pass here when it comes to this. I don't want it to come off that way, but a lot of these decisions again come down to pure business, and clearing out that 80 billion for that AI investment. That's what did the number on all these teams, unfortunately. So I don't really blame that on Game Pass. You know what I mean? I don't think Game Pass is just doing gangbusters necessarily just yet, but it's getting there, and it's the best value. We keep saying this. It sounds like we're paid off, but I only accept checks from Unreal, from Epic. So, but
well, yeah, you're the Unreal guy. I'm the Game Pass guy. Apparently, we are on the take as it were.
We're shilling. Listen, I'll shill for Game Pass because it's unbelievable value. But seriously, I think Game Pass is being scapegoated in a lot of this, and as Jamie and yourself pointed out, these black hole games are really the problem, and it's not something that the gaming industry is going to just really get rid of because it's bringing them so much money. Like, why would they stop, right?
Well, it doesn't just stop with the top 10s, Umbra. I mean, again, the Roblox, the Minecrafts, the Apex Legends, the Warzone. I mean, the Fortnite is you want about a red herring, but it's not just those games. Those games are the top 10. But what happens in the gaming industry? People are trying to strike it rich with a game that hits with the kids, with the people, with the players that are not sitting like old men like us behind their 65-inch TVs. We're not the targeted audience. The targeted audience is the people playing on your cell phone or your tablet. Wherever you have a screen, they want you to play. And if they can get you with a game that's Minecraft-like or Roblox-like, or even, I mean, it could be any of the lower, top 20s. They're still black hole games that people are playing because they're quick to pick up and put down. They don't cost anything. All of that is what is ultimately hurting the industry, not the Series S, not Xbox Corporation, and certainly not Game Pass.
Yeah, for sure. And I see a few people I see in the chat. Shout out to Icon. We were just in Helldivers, me, Icon, and Risk It before I jumped in here. And Risk It blew me up several times. Hargeet, what's up, brother?
That happens, brother. That happens. Yes, my whole team got blown up by accident. It wasn't my fault. I know I've killed or taken out his legs. Will the Broke Boy Insider. You saw the video, folks. We have it on tape. But yeah.
I feel like Risk It does this purposely, though. I don't know. He blew me up multiple times with these stratagems. Me and Hargeet actually played over the weekend too. Actually played some Helldivers. Me, him, Jedi Knight Peter, and Red Dead Panda, and KY Bob. But yeah, we I just, like I said, I feel like Game Pass is getting more of the scapegoat than it deserves, and I can't speak to all the business decisions and the inner, like, how it works overall. None of us can. We don't know how the inner workings of all this works. We don't know them, like, what it pays out for this, and well, this will take care of this for this studio. We don't know all of these things, but I feel like, it's the impact, the negative impact of it is greatly overstated when it comes to Game Pass. It just feels like the boogeyman everybody wants to point a finger at, when I think there's other factors that people just blatantly ignore. And one of them is the old AI situation, again, that Microsoft put into. Before that happened, these studios were safe, And I do want to point out, though, that, this hasn't stopped because of this happening. Like just as recent as now, for the fifth month in a row, Microsoft just laid off 42 people, just now. So, like, this is continuing. So, and that's a total of 15,000 jobs right there. It's not just because of Xbox. Yeah, this is Microsoft overall, and so I think it's overstated because of these layoffs. So it's like it's easy to be like, see, Game Pass did it. Game Pass, it's not Game Pass necessarily, right? Like we can't say that for any certainty. We do know though that Microsoft is going on record saying that they had to clear out money for the AI with the 80 billion for that AI investment. So that's the bigger problem right there. And until I see otherwise, I'm not jumping on any Game Pass bad train. I'm just not doing it.
And I mean, it's fair to have that opinion, and I absolutely agree. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you found this conversation as important to the community as we do. Everyone on this panel is passionate about gaming. Gaming is an expense. It is a hobby. It is something that has to go first if you are in a position where finances are a problem. I've said this before, and I've probably said it about 100 times, and that's because I wasn't rich, folks. My parents were barely middle class growing up. That's just the way it was. My dad had a great job. He was a construction worker. My mom stayed home with us. One salary ruled them all. And we got things. And a lot of the times it was surprises. Like I didn't expect the NES. It was so expensive back in the days when it launched in '85, but I got it for my 15th birthday. I didn't expect my dad to walk through the door with the Atari 2600 in '78. I mean, like that was like I look. I've said this story. I've said this publicly. When my brother and I are playing and we're sitting there, my father's just watching us, just smiling. Like, did Pop steal this? Like my pop was the most honorable man. Like I am very much my dad. Honor, integrity, people matter. Like that was my pops. And even like it was such an expense back in the days. Like I actually asked my brother, and I'm like, oh my God, did he steal this? Because this is expensive. I mean, I was a kid playing, but I mean, I was, to me, an 8-year-old boom, like, holy shit, we got Atari. Like, I only saw this in the Sears book, and only old people know what I'm talking about. You probably smile. Anybody that's over 40 knows about the Sears books. You used to look at them aimlessly, thinking that you were going to get everything there, and you'd get like one figure. I remember that.
Look through those. Yeah, I used to look through that. We also had like the J.C. Penney book. I used to look through those. Like, man, look at all this stuff I'm never going to get. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like you'd be like, oh, like you'd fold the page and you'd hand the book to grandma. And I got in trouble for that. I could never ask for grandma, but she always delivered. Grandma was the best.
My grandmother was the best too, man.
And Sean Film says, shout out to Sears. Yeah, man. Oh,
yeah. My grandmother actually got me most of the game consoles back in the day when I was broke, and a kid, but like Sega and the Nintendo 64.
My grandmother bought me a bunch of TurboGrafx games, if you could believe it.
Oh man. My uncle bought all those. So I played the bunks and all those.
Fams. We're a bunch of old men reminiscing, folks. You got to appreciate that. Come on. I mean, we're showing our age.
You whippersnappers in the chat.
Exactly. See, look, who was it here that just said it? Chris V, the OG Windows shopping books. Yes, Chris. Yes. Oh man, listen again. It's look, I love being here every day to talk about this stuff. I know this might not be topic number one that you want to hear about, but I again, you did hear from me yesterday, and you did hear from Chaos Theory as well as Chaos Lounge, not Chaos Theory, Chaos Lounge and Fuzzy Belvedere. But I definitely wanted to get the takes of both Umbra and Jamie, because they're a big part of the community, and Jamie specifically talked about the pricing of games. And I thought it would be a really good conversation. But we have two other topics to get into, and I want to use Xbox Era. Now you know how I feel about them. They're my friends. I love everyone over there. I've met both Jesse and John personally. I've never met Special Nick yet. I'm hoping that changes at some point. I know he's in Australia, so for him to get here, at least to get to LA, is super expensive. But I'm hoping to meet everybody there. I love the work that they do over there. I really do. John just tweeted that they revamped the website, and the website looks absolutely freaking dynamite. So you should definitely go check it out. But they did a story where it's titled Unfinished Business. And of course, they're talking about machine games and Wolfenstein. Now, according to the article's title, Machine Games talks Wolfenstein, and they go on to say and quote them as saying, "We've always seen this as a trilogy." And that makes perfect sense because obviously, if you beat the second one, it's a cliffhanger, folks. A surprise. So there is another game coming. So I just want to read a couple of excerpts from the article, and I will post the article, which I think I've already done in the show notes. If you want to click on it and read it yourself, it says, in case you've missed it, the awesome folks at NeoClip have released a new video series that covers the history of history and team at Machine Games. They are the developers of multiple entries into the world of the Wolfenstein series, and most recently, the fantastic Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. When Indy was announced as coming along before any potential direct sequels to Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, fans feared the series may be on the back burner. Well, thankfully, Machine Games Studios head Jerk Gustafsson has now given BJ Blazkowicz fans some hope. They go on to say, towards the end of the NeoClip episode, and they have a timestamp there if you want to just click right on it so you can get to hear what the studio head had to say. It says Machine Game Studio head Jerk Gustafsson had a little more to share on what's next for Wolfenstein. And he goes on to say this: that journey for BJ, even during those first few weeks at ID Software, when we mapped out New Order, we still had the plan for at least that character. What will happen in the second one will happen in the third one. And I think that's important to say that. At least I hope that we're not done with Wolfenstein yet. We have a story to tell. Jamie, I'm going to go right to you. You've talked about this not only on your podcast. We haven't really covered Wolfenstein 3 or the third game in what they're calling a trilogy because there hasn't been really a lot of information for us to cover it. But I do want to get your thoughts on the fact that, listen, they're talking about it. And if they're talking about it, that means that there is a really good chance that we're going to get the third game. The question, though, I think that a lot of people in the chat are going to have is when exactly are we going to get it? Because, listen, they had a game that they were working on that was canceled. We don't know what that game was. A lot of people thought it was Wolfenstein. Turns out that wasn't, in fact, the case. And thank goodness for that. But, Jamie, they are working on what we believe to be additional DLC for at least one more. At least that's the rumor. One more after the Order of Giants, which just released. I haven't played it yet. I heard it's absolutely phenomenal, but I'm very, very excited to get back to Indiana Jones. So if they haven't one more DLC after this, we have heard several times. I think I broke the story last year that they have been approved or granted a trilogy in this series, and that game is going to get 2 more additional games. When do they bring us the third game in the Wolfenstein trilogy? What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, if people haven't played it, it would technically actually be the 4th game because there was a prequel called Wolfenstein: The Old Blood.
Yes.
Where it's set in this massive castle. Hell of a game. It's only like 8 hours long or something. But no, like I love those Wolfenstein games. Like they are one of my favorite developers. So when it was announced that they were making Indiana Jones, I lost my marbles because like those Wolfenstein games, crazy. You know, you can run down a corridor with dual sniper rifles and fire from the hip and just like take people out. It's nonsense, but I love it. You know, we're basically more than likely going to get more Indiana Jones. And look, Indiana Jones is the first game published by Microsoft ever that I've ever given a 10. Like,
there you go.
That's how good they did that game. You know, absolutely perfect. But like Machine Games, like people have been wanting Wolfenstein for a long time. We've wanted a big third game for a while. The Youngblood wasn't received that well, but that had like these weird like live service co-op elements which people didn't like.
I didn't like it at all. I didn't even beat that game.
Yeah, it was not good. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. But like the main games, we want that story finished. You know, for people that played the new Colossus, like the story was kind of pointing towards what was going to happen with some bad guy, and you know, much like the original Wolfenstein, you're probably going to fight this bad guy in a mech. So like we need to see it happen. Now, do we know how big that studio is? Do we know how many people are working on Indiana Jones? We don't really know. But like if you look at Microsoft's other studios, I 100% believe that they could work multiple big titles at the same time. Why not? You know, many of their other studios in the past, but the best thing now is that they have access to Microsoft's other studios, so they could have anyone basically help them. But given how good their games are, however long they take, I don't care. They're going to be good. Like for people who haven't played the Wolfenstein games, just phenomenal, absolute fun. Which is funny because like when they were announced that they were going to do Indiana Jones, I was excited, you know, and I already knew it was going to be first person. A lot of people like surprised that a Machine Games title was first person. But the funny thing about Indiana Jones is that isn't really a first person shooter. You know, much like Indiana Jones, you don't go around shooting people. Not really. You know, you can go through that entire game without using a gun. So like even though they excel at first person shooter combat, they made a first person shooter that doesn't require shooting, and I love that. But yeah, Machine Games, I mean, we don't know much, but like them saying that gives me hope because Wolfenstein, it deserves to be like at least one or two more games. You know, Indiana Jones is going to be the big money maker for a long time to come, but they really need to finish the story.
I agree. I think that if you played the first two, they were phenomenal, incredible pieces in the series. The trilogy is necessary. You need the third game. The second one did end at a bit of a cliffhanger. Infinite Number, let's bring you in on this again. Maybe this isn't your bag. I'm not sure how big of a fan you are of the Wolfenstein series. It is violent. It is gory. It is everything you could want from an old 90s shooter brought into this generation with the amount of incredible graphics that it could be on display. Both games were stunning. Both games scored very well. A lot of people bought it. A lot of people played it. The question is, man, and I think Jamie's onto something. I think that this is a game that has to be made alongside Indiana Jones, because if I had a criticism for stuff that comes out of Bethesda Softworks as a publisher, is they develop one game at a time, and that game can take years to be made, and then they have another one. It's the problem that Bethesda has run into right now currently, where Starfield, right, we're still missing information. We talked about it yesterday on what the next DLC is going to be, when that's going to be discussed. We know that they're working on the Elder Scrolls 6, but we also know that they want to work on the Fallout 5 series. A Fallout 5, sequel to 4. It's, again, if I had criticism, it's that they make these big games, but it takes so many years. When do you think we're going to see the next Wolfenstein, if we see the next Wolfenstein in the trilogy?
Yeah, I think they are making it. I think that's, I never doubted that, honestly. And also, just to point out, the man we were just speaking of a while ago, Pete Hines, he came out some time back saying that they were already working on it. That was in 2018.
Yes, he did say that.
So, yeah. So if I had to guess, we could be looking literally at next year, if not the year after it, maybe. Or to be honest, maybe it could be a launch title for next gen. You know what I mean? And I think when was the last update for the EdTech engine? Was that more recent?
Oh, I don't know.
I typically only pay attention to Unreal Engine's iterations, so somebody's going to have to help me out in the chat. But EdTech engine, by the way, gorgeous. If you look at the work that engine has done, from the new Colossus to what was the other one? New Order.
New Order.
Like the game, that engine, it puts in work, like very clearly. It's a gorgeous one. So somebody said he probably canceled it before he left, Pete Hines. But he's like, oh, you thought you were going to just get rid of me? No, but following BJ Blazkowicz, yeah, excellent story. Love the series. I don't often talk about it enough. I suppose I don't give it enough shine. I will eventually, but yeah, man, I've always expected a trilogy for this series right here. It only makes sense. I also do wonder what the naming convention will be, since the other one was New Order, the other one was New Colossus. What will the final one be?
That's a really good question.
I was going to say New World Order, but they already had New Order, so that probably won't be it. Yeah, I mean, and of course we talk about Indiana Jones, and we just had the DLC drop for that, so they have been busy. But I do believe maybe they could put a smaller team to do something like that while they're doing the work on the major title, which is Wolfenstein. So yeah, I feel like we could get that. If I had to guess, based off them working on it since 2018, it could be a launch title. And I say that also because we kind of see the roadmap also for Xbox already, and they don't really need it to drop next year. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a stacked year again for Xbox, right? And that's from first party and third party deals they get that go into Game Pass. So yeah, I'm feeling like it could be a launch title. If it's not a launch title, it'll be the last year of this current console. Oh, James Coffey says new era. I like that one.
I like that. That's
good. I like that.
I like that. Yes.
What's up, James? What's up, brother? Yeah, I can see that. That sounds pretty dope. And we see him last, and the sequel was set in the 60s in an alternate future America and such. And I love the creativity behind machine games, because like you listen to some of the creative teams behind it. That like the designers, for instance, Andres. Forgive me if I say your name wrong, and you're probably not listening to us, but Ogier Force, you along with Jerk. But by the way, who named him that? Like,
well, I mean, I just think it's the region of the world. It's not considered like, I don't even think. I mean, look, I don't know. Someone actually said they think he might be Swedish. And that makes sense.
Gustafsson, Gustafsson. Yeah. He's probably Swedish or Norwegian or something. I just feel like if you call me Jerk, I guess over there it's probably fine. Jerk means God of son of Zeus or something over there. I don't know what it means. Son of Thor. Who knows?
I mean, over here, jerk means like knee jerk reaction, like a sudden reaction.
And the mother said, "Your father touched himself a lot." I don't know. No, let me stop.
Jesus.
But
boy, somebody should have beat that for saying, "Where's my beat button?"
I love their creativity, though, right? Like even the creative director Jens Matthias or Mathies. I'm not sure how you say that name properly. Somebody said Jerk Chicken Thanos. They talk about
the music 72.
Like Mecha Hitler.
She says Jerk Face.
Right. It Take 8. So that how recent though King Webb was Jerk.
That was pretty recent. That was
fairly recent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it won't be a new iteration anytime soon. Okay. So I was just wondering, but so I would almost imagine that it'll be one of the last years of this current gen, if not next gen at launch title. That's what I would say. But they talk about the inclusion of like Mecha Hitler, right, for the final one, and
I mean that makes sense. He was at the end boss of the original, right? So I mean, spoiler alert, folks. The game's on 30 years old, but yeah, you fight.
And who's the ultimate bad guy, right? When it comes to the these Nazi scum, it's Hitler, right? The big bad. So yeah, we get to get a chance to be like Captain America and punch him in the face. I'm all for it, Mecha Hitler or not. And then it's just a lot of creativity that they happen to put into their games, and it just solid balanced games when it comes to machine games, like top notch, right? So I expect great things from them. I'm really excited to see what they can come up with and what they come up with after the fact. There is the trouble though of the spinoff game. What was the name of the spinoff? What was
the Daughters?
Yeah, Youngblood.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was freaking awful.
And I've heard nothing but terrible things about it.
Yeah, it wasn't a good game. I'm sorry, it just really wasn't.
So the thing with that is that that's considered canon for this universe.
It is canon, unless they
right.
Unless they try to flash you with the Men in Black thing make you forget that game ever existed.
Right. So they have to balance it out through that. I think it's set like 50 years in the future or something to the 80s, or I guess 20 years, I suppose, into the 80s. So I don't know how that works out, but we'll see. I'm like I said, I'm excited for it. Even to our, shout out to our unfortunately named brother Jerk, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can put out there with it. But yeah, like I said, I've always kind of thought this would happen, so this isn't surprising news for me, but it is good news to read.
Well, I mean, on the back end of what you and Jamie had to say, first of all, it's great to know that there is a trilogy planned for this character. Even more so, though, it's exciting to know that there's going to be more Indiana Jones, because quite frankly, the Great Circle was a phenomenal game from start to finish. Again, I have not started the Order of the Giants, which I cannot wait to start. I'm playing Chronos along with a bunch of other things. I like Chronos. I don't love it. The game seems to be unnecessarily difficult. It is old school Resident Evil. They are cheap with the rounds, and if you don't have ammo, you're dead. So you gotta die and retry a few things, and get creative with. I'll put it this way: if you don't look around for what they consider to be energy that you can trade in, so you can buy more bullets, you're effed. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because I like it. It's very Dead Space like, but the game has a difficulty curve. There's no difficulty you can like. I'm not gonna front. I would put that game to easy. What I did wind up doing though is I don't think the aiming is perfect. So I did the automatic aiming. I'm like, you know what? I keep missing, even though I'm shooting it right at this thing's head. And I'm like, you know what? Now I'm going to let the thing aim for me. I know maybe that's a cheapo way to do it, but the aiming needs to be adjusted. Maybe they'll do that through an update. It's a small team. I bought it because I wanted to support the team. I love Dead Space. I'm enjoying it. I don't love it yet. I know some people are really enjoying it, even more so than me. But we'll definitely see. Gentlemen, we got to get into the Tokyo Game Show, and that's going to be a big topic because Sega's going to be there, Square's going to be there, and Xbox is going to be there in a big way. But let me catch up on Super Chats. First of all, the first channel member chat comes from Quan the Terrible, who's been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 17 months, brother. That is incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much for the support, Quan. He goes on to say, Mr. BoomStick and Company, thanks for being my #1 destination for gaming news. Here's to the next 17 months. Well, Quan, that is incredibly kind of you to say. Look, I mean, we have our opinions, but I do try to bring evidence-based conversation to everything we do to try and keep it as legitimate as possible. Again, do we all get emotional? Do we all say things that we might want to take back at some point, that maybe we're being, an emotional gamer, like Kay Asante likes to say? Sure. But when I do bring evidence-based conversation, which I enjoy, because again, opinions are opinions, facts are facts. And when you have documentation speaking about a particular topic, it's hard to argue. But thank you so much for the kind words, brother, and thank you for the incredible generosity. The Duck of Death drops a very generous $10 super chat. Oh, Duck of Death, great to see you here, brother, and thank you very much for the generosity. He says Pete Hines was vague. He could be referring to the performance incentives for devs. Maybe the sales goals for receiving a bonus were not immediately adjusted as Game Pass grew. I mean, that's a really good point. But you see, if that's what he is referring to, then I have an even bigger problem with what he said. And again, this is a big if. See, my problem with Pete already is that in everything that he has said, everything that Mike Ybarra have said, and Loftus and Sean Layden, right? Go back and look for their quotes. I can't put all of those links in the chat. You can go find them yourselves, and I encourage that you do. The one most important aspect that was left out at every one of these interviews / commentary was us, the consumer. There is no mention of the consumer at any given point. Folks, that is the red herring. That's the problem. I understand that a lot of us are pay pigs, that we want something, we buy it, we pay for it, we play it, we beat it 17 times like Umber has beaten Shinobi, but that's because he loves the game. But in no instance at any of these interviews were the consumer mentioned. And if he was referring to bonuses for the devs based on sales, I say F that even more, because that's not my problem. I'm buying the game already. If you get a bonus, awesome. But don't use that as the driving force for what you do. Like, I mean, again, I first of all, phenomenal point, Duck of Death. And you might be onto something. Maybe that's what Pete was referring to. But again, if he was referring to that, I have an even bigger problem with what he said. We have Sith Lord. Sorry about your bears, brother. I thought that they opened up so strong. I mean, the quarterback is just, that kid's amazing. He went 10 for 10. He was so laser focused. I can't believe they lost that game. I cannot believe it. Sith Lord drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, big CEOs don't understand what it's like making $400 a week, budget, food, heat, a place to live, medical bills, and maybe enough for some entertainment. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken record, folks, but I get very vexed, if you will, with a millionaire trying to speak to or speak on our level. They can't. They cannot. They may have genuine thoughts of someone lesser financially secure than them, but they should not be allowed to have a conversation about what it takes to put food on the table and still play your video games and still buy your games. Because the minute I hear that, I get infuriated. I really do, because again, I'm not a millionaire, folks. I have a pension, and I know somebody in the chat has a name, Booms. I think their name Booms. Pension has a ceiling, and that's hilarious, but it's the truth. So I have to budget what we're doing with the money. You know, the streaming services and all of the important things like, I don't know, rent or mortgage or heat, electricity, food on the table. I still got to figure out, you know, a lot of things. That's called adulting, right? I don't complain about it. You never hear me ever complain about it, because it's just, I do what I have to do. But I get really pissed off when people who are making some real egregious salaries to make video games have the audacity to say about bonuses and $80 games. That's when the horns come out, folks. I don't really get very angry on a lot of things, but if you ever wanted to see Boom's horns and fangs, that's how you get it out. Because how dare they? I'm just saying. But we have here Hargeet Chani. Hargeet, what's up, brother? I'm writing a story, and I think tomorrow the big conversation is going to be about that Legion Go. $1,100. It's really, I know that there's a screen difference. It's almost a 9-inch screen, pause, versus the 7, pause, once again, for the Xbox Ally. But $1,100 to start is, I mean, these consoles are, what is it?
$1,500 for the high end one.
The high end is $1,500, yes, plus tax. It's dude. I mean, if you got that kind of money, I am a congratulator, not a hater. But
yeah, if you got that, hook me up. I saw, somebody posted some things. It's like, you might as well get yourself a laptop. And
you might as well get a laptop. Yeah,
you can get a 5060 enabled laptop with a 5060 in it for $1,100 or $1,200, which is cheaper than this thing.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd be crazy to get that, not get the handheld instead.
And that would be an actual gaming laptop made for it. So
with
it would
OLED
have
screen and all.
Yeah. We're gonna probably get into that tomorrow evening on the new episode. I should say, it's new episode of Primetime Gaming. But he goes on to say, just FYI, that wasn't the sales. It's actually players. It just proves that the massive concurrent player counts we saw were due to Xbox and not PlayStation. Yeah, he's talking about Helldivers, which is on your screen. I mean, yeah, they had across all the platforms, they had surpassed 503,000 at its highest. And that's a lot of people returning to the game. Not so much people buying the game, but a lot of people did buy it on Xbox. I know that we know the story that we talked about that came the way of VGT Gaming News that at its 6th day of sales, the Xbox version outpaced the original PlayStation release by over 300,000 sold. It was 900 and something thousand versus 600 and something thousand for PlayStation when it released last year in 2024. I don't know if that's changed. I know that it's probably broke over 1 million. The last check I was able to find for the PlayStation 5 in total sales, which I believe they surpassed 5 million since its launch of last year's 2024. But 5 million, that's a lot of players, man. I mean, people are going to argue with me and say, well, boom, 80 million consoles. Yeah, but it's a bit of a niche game. It's very hard. It's very difficult to game. Again, I love it. I love the difficulty, swing of it. And again, when you play with a team, it's magnificent. But gentlemen, let's get into the Tokyo Game Show. Now, yesterday we had confirmation from Xbox about the Tokyo Game Show. And look, we had a story break a couple of weeks ago where there was a rumor that Forza Horizon 6 was going to be there. Now, obviously, when we heard that, all of our brains, I don't care whether you're on PlayStation, PC, or Xbox, we all thought, well, if it's going to be at the Tokyo Game Show, there is no doubt in my mind that they're finally going to Japan. And, the more that, that story kind of went through the community, it's, I don't want to say it's confirmed. You see, I have a question mark in it. Is it confirmed? We do know that based on what was said yesterday by Xbox, and I'll pull up that tweet in a second, is that their teams have some things to show. What those teams are, they didn't get specific on it. They didn't say, Playground Games is going to be there, because if they did, it's going to be that the cat's out of the bag. Surprise is gone. Even though the surprise is kind of gone, but not really, because we don't have it confirmed. This is going to be a big event for Xbox. It has already been said that it's probably the biggest Tokyo game show itself in the last 5 years. Square Enix is going to be there. I think all the bigs are going to be there. I actually think even PlayStation is going to be there. I know they skipped Gamescom, but I'm pretty sure PlayStation is going to be at Tokyo Game Show, and it makes sense. Oh, Kojima is going to be there. I think we're going to talk about that on Friday, because he has a couple of events happening. He has Beyond the Strand, which is happening towards the end of the year, but there is another event that he's doing to kind of give us a peek behind the curtain on what 2 games he's working on. And one of those games is the horror game. So we're finally going to get a chance to see what that is, maybe even get a trailer, which would be dope. But Jamie, let's bring you in. The Tokyo Game Show happens every September, every year. This year has already been, it's been put out there that it's the biggest one in the last 5 years. My thoughts and theories for Square Enix is that they're going to give us the new trailer for Final Fantasy VII for Xbox and Switch. We're going to get a release date for both of those consoles. My additional theory is that it's going to be dropped into Xbox Game Pass, and it's going to be shadow dropped at the event. Now, that's fanboy dreaming, folks. That is not confirmed. I have not heard that from anyone. I'm buying it if I have to buy it, I'm going to buy the game. If it's in Game Pass, well, that's what I pay for a service. I'm probably going to play it on Game Pass. And if there's some sort of an upgrade, $30 upgrade, I'll probably wind up buying that. If there is one, I don't know. But it would be a really good olive branch, considering that we've waited 5 years for this game to finally hit Xbox. It'd be pretty cool if it was dropped into Xbox Game Pass. And again, I know we talked about it in the beginning. Nate the Hate had something to say regarding the release of the Part 2 that's already been out on PlayStation for both Switch and Xbox in 2026, but he didn't get specific when. It could be first quarter, it could be the end of the year for what we know. But I think that at least at the Tokyo Game Show, because Square and Xbox are going to be there, I would not be surprised if there was a segment during Xbox's unveiling that Square comes up, or Phil goes to Square's unveiling and they announce Final Fantasy in Game Pass. Again, that's just me fanboy dreaming. But I think everybody that's anybody, including PlayStation gamers, are going to be all eyes on what Xbox is doing, because obviously this year Forza Horizon 5 is the best-selling game on PlayStation 5. That's just crazy. It's a 4-year-old game, and that's how good it is, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible pieces of DLC. It's just been update after update after update. If you have not played it, I don't know who hasn't, play that game wherever you play. PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and maybe at some point it goes to Switch. Who knows? But I really think that it does answer the question, Jamie, why we didn't see it at the June showcase, because we did hear that they had held things back for other shows. If it turns out that the held back for other shows is Forza Horizon 6 in Japan, it makes perfect sense. Let's get your thought, theories, and expectations for the end of the month's Tokyo Game Show 2025.
Well, for people like me, it's going to be like Christmas. I've been babbling on about Final Fantasy needing to come to Xbox for 5 years. I don't have to do that anymore, which is lovely. Yeah, it's going to be a big day. Like last year, they had a big showcase for a bunch of JRPGs coming to Xbox, a lot of which look really cool, most of which aren't even out yet. Now, Square Enix also has a show that day, but they also have Final Fantasy for Xbox confirmed to be at the event, whatever they're doing. So, like with Xbox being there as well, I 100% think we're getting Final Fantasy VII Remake's release date. 100%. Now, my theory or prediction for the release date is so. Developers, for some reason, like to be fast and loose when they use seasons in their release date announcements or release windows. So, like winter, right? Winter technically starts in December, but fast and loose, I think I think it's coming out in October, if not the last week of November. I don't think it'll be Game Pass, but I do think it'll be reasonably priced. You're getting all the content there day one. It's going to be a huge bloody release. They're going to be releasing this alongside the Switch 2 version. I think they're going to do a big marketing campaign around it. Hopefully some physical versions as well. Anyway, so I think we're going to be getting that. I think the Final Fantasy IX remake might be announced there. Just everything Square Enix has been doing for the past 6 months, it screams, hey, look at us, we're doing the remake finally. They have a big lineup of games coming, most of which actually come to Xbox. A lot of them are going to be there. And, I think that Xbox being a Tokyo Game Show is actually a really big deal again, because like they have more Japanese support than ever before. They clearly know that Microsoft, they are trying, right? The Xboxes might not be selling there, but they are growing their services and they're growing their install base when it comes to monthly active users over there. The streaming stuff, it's big over there. Handheld gaming, big over there. So like outside of the JRPGs, I think that you're getting one main game from Microsoft. Actually, I do think they'll show more of Keeper by Double Fine, because that releases next month.
That's a really good one too. Yeah.
And we outside of the main trailer, which came along with the announcement, we haven't really seen a lot of gameplay. So I think they'll show that there. Like Forza Horizon 6, like I'd be shocked if it isn't there. And people have been wanting Japan since the first game. So like, and by the way, every single time a Tokyo Game Show or Xbox showcase has been coming around the corner, there's been this huge, like, I want to say a wish that we get Tokyo or Japan. And then the next Forza Horizon's announced, and it's Italy. And then it's Australia. And then it's England. And then it's Mexico. I think everything that's happened over the past few weeks, I think it's time. I think it's happening. Was it someone that was working for Nissan? Apparently we're talking with people at Microsoft. Like, there's something happening, you know. And there was some wording in one of the posts by Microsoft that kind of made it seem like, keeping your eyes on the streets or something. Like, if like look, every time people talk about Tokyo or Japan being in a Forza Horizon game, everyone uses the bloody same Tokyo Drift GIF, right? Everyone, right? And I think they get it. We've been wanting it for a very long time. And if you're going to announce it anywhere, you don't announce it at the Summer Showcase. You announce it in Japan, where you're going to get a lot of eyes on it. Because look, racing games are huge. Yes, Forza Horizon 5 did great on PlayStation, but it's a bloody good game. It had over 40 million players on PC and Xbox alone.
Yes.
So like it's a huge game, right? And by the way, when I'm talking about this, I like how that game is borderline photorealistic, huge open world racing game, $60. $60 at launch.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart, 80.
$80.
And we're meant to be talking about like games are costing more. I know this is a bit of a tangent, but what do you think cost more, Forza Horizon 5 or Mario Kart World?
I mean, I think that's an easy answer.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring that up because that infuriated me. It made me do that crazy eyeball twitch. Like really, is that where we're going now? Open world racing game. That's why it's $80. Come on, man. Anyway, and if we want to talk about open world racing games, there was one on 360. I think it was called Evolve or something, where you had like 100 square kilometers of racing. It's the biggest racing game of all time. Anyway, I digress. It should be the place to announce it. Like, you have to do it there.
Yeah, it would really do. I think it's going to be world news. Obviously, it's in Japan. It's happening super early in the morning. When we get up, the information is going to be out there. But yeah, Jamie, I'm right there with you. I think it would be world breaking news if they announce it. And they announce it at, again, the Tokyo Game Show may not be big for a lot of people in this chat. It's always been big for me because I've always been an importer of games. I love Japan. Yep. It's a big show.
And if it is there, it has to be like a kind of a different Forza Horizon game because you have to have look, I'm going to bring up Tokyo Drift again. Yeah, you're going to have good drifting mechanics. Like, we're going to have bigger cities possibly than we've ever had in a Forza Horizon game. So they have to have mechanics that let us drive around efficiently in a city. I'm just thinking about Tokyo Drift. But also, like, you have to think about the collaborations. Like, what's the radio going to be like? Are we going to get a bunch of J-pop and K-pop? That's cool. Are we going to have like fancy neon lights underneath cars? Bloody hope so. And let's look at the collaborations with future expansions. Are we going to see a bunch of anime stuff? Hell yeah!
Dude,
like,
yeah.
They could
sign me up, please.
Yeah. Like, who would have thought if you go back to Forza Horizon 4, oh yeah, we're gonna, in this England set racing game, we're gonna have a DLC that's completely about Lego.
Yep.
Right. So like, with one being set in Japan, it's gonna be all crazy anime, and I'm for it, right? But yeah, I at 1,000. Like, I don't like to read into rumors and that too much, and like developers talking to people working in other parts of the industry, making the connections. But come on. Like, come on, really? If it doesn't get announced here, I'd be shocked.
I agree. And again, you can call it cat out of the bag. I'm not spoiled by knowing in advance if something potentially is going to be there. I know a lot of people hate spoilers. I don't get bothered by it because, they're take with a grain of salt. But Umbra, look, if Forza Horizon 6 is announced in Japan while being at the Tokyo Game Show, it is going to be big news. It's going to be big news because Forza Horizon 5 is a game that has seen over 50 million players. It is available on everything but the Switch for right now. I would imagine they're trying to figure out how to get it onto Switch because it'd probably sell like hotcakes. But they're not the only ones that are going to be there. Square Enix is going to be there. I think we're going to finally get the official, because I know right now it's winter, that the Final Fantasy VII is coming to Xbox. I said it in my opening. I would love to see it dropped into Xbox Game Pass, not because I'm a cheapo. It's just that I think it'd be a really good olive branch by Square Enix. Obviously They didn't purposefully hold it from Xbox. That was the contract that they signed with PlayStation, which they're no longer doing because those contracts hurt the company tenfold. But Sega is also going to be there, and I have their particular tweet here in front of me, and this comes away of Hazardor Gaming. He says Sega's Tokyo Game Show website now shows 4 coming soon exhibit titles for the Tokyo Game Show 2025, and it does have a total of 9 games that they're showing. Sonic Worlds is one of them. Virtual Fighter 5, Football Manager 26, P3, Persona Reloaded, and P5 or Persona 5, Persona the Phantom X. But there are 4 missing slots for other games. I think Jet Set Radio is a given. That's just my take on it. We could see maybe a new Panzer Dragoon. That would be a bit of a stunner. You could see Crazy Taxi. You could see Golden Axe. You could see Streets of Rage. You know, they are still working on all of these big games. The revamp of a lot of their older IPs, which based on what they did with Shinobi, should be a no-brainer. It's going to be awesome. What are your expectations for the Tokyo Game Show? And do you think that this should be the spot, like Jamie was saying, to show off or announce Forza Horizon 6?
It's been much speculated that Forza will pop up there, and I'll get to that in a second. Just to touch on the Sega situation. Oh, by the way, Boom, I have to tell you, I was muted, but laughing my butt off over here with you throwing down those landmines everywhere and
people stepping on them. Yes, up the hill. I don't use them anymore. They're you know what they're like? I've said this publicly. The Tesla towers are basically the devil.
Tesla towers are horrible.
Don't throw the Tesla towers down unless you want to die, because those things zap you. They have to be thrown like super far away from where the ship is landing, because it killed my entire team. Yeah, my whole entire team wiped out. Yes,
it's like using that arc reactor thing, whatever they call it.
Oh God, right?
Yes, it's not worth it.
It's bad.
But no, I was just laughing because they get blown up, and like in the last mission, he got blown up. And he just kind of sat around like, "Yep, that's the price of democracy."
And you know something that I think if you look at, I was like level 4. I didn't even know you can call people back. Like I thought they just dropped automatically. So I'm like running around waiting.
That's why you said there. Show up. Okay,
that's why I didn't know.
I thought in my head, I made a head cannon. I'm like, he must have been like, I told you not to go over there. That's what you get. I'm not bringing.
That's what you get for stepping on. Oh, I told you not to touch the butts, right? Today.
But that'll learn you. But as far as what I think from Sega, I think the simplest answer is possibly the correct one. I think it'll be, the games they already showed us. It'll be the Jet Set Radio. It'll be
Crazy Taxi,
Golden Axe. It'll be Crazy Taxi, and it'll be the new Streets of Rage that they're working on. I think that's just what we'll see. I expect maybe one surprise though, to maybe something with Persona, something like that, right? Maybe Persona 6.
Persona 6 would be a monster size announcement.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I could see that. From Sony, I expect Ghost of Yotei to be there. Yep. I expect the Marvel Token Fighting Soul.
Oh, bro, that's day one for me, brother. I want to get a fighting stick for that. I hope they sell one.
For it. I kind of fell off on fighting games, man. I used to love me some Street Fighter back in Street Fighter 2 days and Super Street Fighter. Yeah, I just kind of fell off. And I do love Tekken. I just haven't been on it like that. I didn't even get Tekken 8. I should have been got Tekken 8. I just never have. But yeah, I kind of fell off. I would say this for Square. Square has a bunch of games coming up that I am excited for. One of them being the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, the one they put a demo out for the Switch 2. Super excited for that. That looks really, really good. I'm sure there'll be some demo for that. They have another game called the Ivalice Chronicles. They have Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is likely going to be shown off, like you said, for Xbox and for Switch. Showing, announcing it. Well, not announcing it, but showing. Yeah, well, announcing it. Yeah, integrated. Did they announce that? No, they haven't officially announced it, right? That was just Nate the Hate that said it would be.
Yeah, so Andre Doyle also just said Panzer Dragoon was leaked as being there as a remake.
I saw the Panzer Dragoon. It wasn't even leaked. Like literally, the Panzer
Yeah, it's
Dragoon
officially
came
announced now.
out. Yeah.
Oh, now it's official. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. But Final Fantasy Remake Integrate, I think we'll get the official announcement for that. And I don't think that will be coming to Game Pass, though. I hate to, disrupt anybody's thought. I think they want to sell those.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm saying it would be a really good olive branch based on how long we've had to wait for this game, thanks to that awful deal that they signed with PlayStation.
Yeah, it was a stupid deal. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D. I see that being shown off. I have to eventually get that. Yeah. What I would say could possibly land in Game Pass is because the first and second game have been on it from Square. That is Octopath Traveler 0.
That's a good one.
I could actually see that being saying, hey, this will come to Game Pass. Microsoft may have secured a deal with them for that. That I can see. At first, I thought 0 was possibly like it's 1 and 2 fused together for some nice collection. 0, or no, it's his own game. So if any game, I would say I can possibly say Octopath Traveler 0 might go to Game Pass. Cullen Prime, you agree with me, brother? All right. And as far as we got Capcom that'll be there, obviously we'll see Onimusha, Way of the Sword, which looks damn good to me every time I see it.
I cannot wait for that game. It's day one for me. Maybe we get the trailer for the rumored now open world Code Veronica, bro.
Yeah, might see. You know what? I don't know if we'll see that just yet because they got Requiem. So I don't know if they'll announce it.
You're right. You're absolutely right on that.
So I'm not too sure on that just yet. We got the Pragmata, though. I think Pragmata will be there from them. And maybe they might show some stuff for like a Monster Hunter, like DLC or something. Got Koei Tecmo that'll be there. I would expect more from Neo 3. I would expect Hyrule's Warrior Age of Imprisonment for Switch 2 to let them show something of that off. Ninja Gaiden 4 is a given. We're going to see more of that. We've already seen more of it at the what's the name of that event that just went over in Germany? Gamescom. So I expect to see more of that of Ninja Gaiden 4 here. It's just obvious, right? And I would say for Square too, this is what I would say. There has been a long time rumor for Final Fantasy IX, if you all recall. What better place than to showcase it here? Outside of the Video Game Awards, of course. That'd be obvious. But yeah, I think if I was to expect a surprise from Square, it'll be two things. One, I'll go out on a limb and say that Octopath Traveler 0, which is one of my favorite RPG series, by the way, that could be announced for Game Pass just because the other two were on it. And I would say Final Fantasy IX remake we'll finally see. And it's been a long time coming. We haven't seen in years. What happened to Kingdom Hearts 4?
It's still coming.
It's still on the way. They're working on it right now. I saw something leaked about it last week that they some of the worlds that you're going to be going into leaked. I didn't actually read the story. I love it from a distance. I've only played it like sparingly. I bought 3.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I think they announced that like in, what was it, 2019, 2020?
It's
2020,
been years, right? Dude. But that's typical Square.
Yeah. So, and that was obviously years, decade or whatever after the last Kingdom Hearts. So it's been a long time coming for that. And maybe we might see Final Fantasy the remake, the third part for the series for this. After Integrate, maybe that might be announced. I'm not sold on that idea, but I think if I had to pick any mystery things that they might announce that we didn't know about, it might be showing off Kingdom Hearts 4, and I would think the Final Fantasy 9 remake, which seems like one of their worst kept secrets. So I would say Final Fantasy 9 remake and that, and maybe Octopath Traveler 0 going to Game Pass, possibly. I think Microsoft will be smart to secure a deal. Forza Horizon 6, as we keep talking about, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We've had people from like Windows Central, with Jez and company. We've had Nate the Hate come out and say it, and Nate has been on a run on a crazy track record of being correct. So I have no doubt in my mind that that'll be the case. It's very smart. It's something that we as a fan base have been demanding and begging from them for years. So it's only right that we finally see that land in Japan, and the city, the country of the rising sun, right? The land of the rising sun, should I say? But yeah, so happy to see that. The Tokyo Drift thing, Jamie, like you were saying, for sure. I want to see them really capture it. And the thing is, I'm saying all this, I don't have to say it. Like, Playground knows what they're doing when it comes to like showcasing a world or a landscape beautifully, right? And Japan has tons of beautiful landscape to showcase, from the blossom trees to the mountains, Mount Fuji out there. And I can't wait to see what it looks like, man. I really, really can't. I'm also interested in wondering, because I've speculated before that with Forza, with tech team, what's the word I'm looking for? Turn 10, with them having the issues and being mostly laid off, will they try to consolidate them to maybe put like Forza Motorsport, like a sim version of it or elements of it into the next one? And that's where the drifting part would kick in heavy, because that's Turn 10 specialty, right there. The more sim aspect of that. And Japan is big on drifting. So, let them get their tuning right for the Supras and the GTRs. I can see them putting that in there perfectly for Forza Horizon 6. And I would say, obviously, we, like you mentioned, what's his name? Kojima. We would probably see Physant finally. I hate the name of it. I hate the way it's spelled even more.
That's a horrible
name. Physant we'll probably see finally, see what that's looking like. I'm hearing that it's supposed to be somewhat of a Metal Gear-esque type of action game, espionage. So happy for that. Not happy about the title and the way it's spelled, but we'll see how that looks. And finally, hopefully, we see OD from this man.
Yeah, finally.
That will be my guesses. And maybe I might be shooting for the stars there, but because it always seems like, oh yeah, we'll see this, we'll see that, and it'll be like,
well, I mean, that game's been in development for a while. Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe even Jordan Peele might make the trip. If he does, if shows up on stage with him, it's going to be a big.
That'd be nice.
It would be dope.
Yeah, I think. Oh, just to throw it out there, Death Stranding 2. I think it'll be a quick turnaround for them.
Somebody actually just said that in the chat. Let me see. Yuden says, "Is it too early for Kojima to announce Death Stranding 2 for Xbox?" I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
That's a really good point. Also, who was it just said this about? Let me see.
I think it'll be a shorter turnaround for them, possibly 6 months.
Yeah, Wacko Games actually just made a great point. Silent Hill 2 remake for Xbox, supposedly October is they had a year exclusive on that, so that would be another good one. That's a great pick, Wacko. Excellent.
Yeah, I feel like Death Stranding 2 is going to have a quicker turnaround than the previous one did.
Probably 6 months, I would imagine.
6 months, which informs, because it's now owned by Kojima right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like they'll have a 6 month window, and and which I've come out and said already, I expect PlayStation to kind of do the 6 month window thing for their titles going forward, possibly before it hits PC and such. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, that will be my guess. It'll be possibly an announcement for it coming to PC and Xbox. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be exciting. Yeah, I'm excited because it is a game show. It is the biggest in that region for sure. We know Xbox is going to be there in a big way. We don't know specifically what they're going to show, but it is all points, all signs point, I should say, to Forza Horizon 6 in Japan being announced. That's going to be a really big deal. A lot of these PlayStation exclusive games could get announcements. Silent Hill 2 remake. Death Stranding 2, I'm going to be very, very excited. And it so happens that it's on the 25th, which is my birthday, which is awesome. So yeah, give me a Banjo-Kazooie in Japan. That'd be my present. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. It's not going to happen, folks, but it's fine. I've been disappointed before. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, once again, We have 1,100 people watching live. That is just ridiculous. That is across Twitch, one viewer. Hi, Twitch viewer. Thanks so much for checking us out there. X and YouTube. A lot of people, folks, that there's something new for YouTube where you find folks can help promote the channel. I mean, it's a new program that they're doing. I can't see it because obviously I am the Mr. Boom and I run the channel, so I don't think we can promote our own channel unless we pay for it. I'm going to find out exactly what they're doing. There's some sort of a promote button that you can find on the channel, and I think you can promote up to 3 of the videos per week.
Oh, do you want me to explain it? Because I've actually looked into it.
Please, go ahead, brother.
So for content creators under under 500,000 subscribers,
yes.
There's a new hype feature. It's completely for free.
Yes, that's what it's called. The hype feature. Yes,
and everyone has the ability to hype 3 videos a week, and that video can be hyped for that entire week. And each time you get hyped, you get points. And basically, it kind of affects the algorithm in a good way. That the videos with the most hype points get shared the most, but basically all videos that get hype points in general, as far as I know, do get shared more by the algorithm. So yeah, you get three goals a week for 3 different videos, and then it resets, and then you have another 3. And I think it's a really cool system. People sent me screenshots, and I was like, okay, so that's how it works, because people hyped my video, which thank you to them. But yeah, it's cool new feature. It's rolling out to a bunch of different countries. It's not available on all devices yet, so as far as I know, it's only available on the mobile side and not the desktop side.
Not yet.
That's all I know so far.
Well, thank you for the clarification. Of course, who was it that just said this? Let me see. Wacko Game says, don't hype Reforge. Reforge kind of surprised me. I was watching one of Dirt Griggity's live streams, and he showed a video that he did regarding Reforge actually kind of going against his own chat. He's like, regarding Helldivers 2. It's actually very interesting. But it's funny.
He was trashing Helldivers or something.
No. He was saying to the audience, "Hey, listen, Xbox players." He said, "Xbox boys are buying Helldivers. I told you that was going to happen." And his chat's like, "No, that's all PlayStation."
You were the chosen one.
Yeah. So no, he actually went against his own chat. But I started out the gym today watching Dirt, Joey, and the rest of the crew, Ray. And Sean, and 5 minutes in, I had to put the music on because I couldn't stop laughing. That is one of my favorite shows. I talk about Dirt all the time. It's a very good friend of mine. And I just love the work that they do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to listen to this while I'm cleaning, which is what I was doing before the show. I went to the gym, started cleaning, and like now I got to get to work and get on the podcast. And then when I'm done with this, I'm going to get to cleaning again. Yeah, it's such the life of a retired man. But ladies and gentlemen, the show went a lot longer than I originally thought. I thought we were going to get 90 minutes out the door. We're here 2 hours. So let's get out the door. Again, 1,100 people in the chat. Please, folks, Mrs. Boom and I kind of hit a bit of a snag trying to get to the next, goal, which would be 16,000.2. We've been stuck at 16.1 forever. If you're not subscribed, if you're enjoying the content, please, for the love of Joe, subscribe, share, hit the hype button if you do have access to it. Pick whatever video, whatever live stream that you enjoy, and try and help us out, because we're not, I don't know what, and again, it's not just me. I don't know if anyone saw Destin's post. A lot of the bigs are having, difficult time getting people to watch their things. Even Skill Up is actually complaining that YouTube did something to the algorithm that they fell out and they're not getting any views, that's Skill Up. That's freaking crazy. So if Skill Up ain't getting views, Double Barrel Gaming ain't getting shit. So if you can help me and Mrs. Boom by hitting the hype button, sharing this on the socials, letting people know about it, because we have fun here, right? We have good conversations. Everything is well researched. We don't shoot from the hip. I don't read from the phone. The work goes into the show. So if you're enjoying it, hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, please, for the love of Joe, consider subscribing. And please try out the hype button. Let me know what you think. Mrs. Boom and I would be greatly appreciative of that. But listen, Jamie Moran, you have a show happening today. You, Logan Meyer, today, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the newest episode of the All Things Xbox podcast. And we can't wait to hear your 17 topics that you're probably on tap, because he always has a ridiculous amount of topics. And it's great because you get a little bit of everything. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people subscribe to the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel, but more importantly, follow you on social media?
Yeah, thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure doing this show with you two guys. So yeah, my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer. I exclusively cover Xbox. There's no fluff. There's no clickbait. I don't do fanboy stuff. All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we go over sometimes up to 17, 18 topics over a 2-hour show. It should be fun. And, you know, as Boom was saying with the YouTube thing, if you're in restricted mode, you can not see a lot of people's content. And I did the check on my channel. No videos or podcasts are available on my channel at all. They don't show up going back to 2021.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, yeah, that whole thing massively screwed me over. Thankfully, my last video is doing okay. So if people want to support, that's what my last video is. The 20 biggest new games coming to Xbox this month. There's a lot of cool ones, a lot of horror games as well. But yeah, I want to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm like 6,100 and something. So I'm on the road. But yeah, YouTube, it's a great website, but that restricted thing, wow, it devastating to say the least. But
yeah, hey, they hurt a lot of people. That Blue Number was saying that her stuff was hidden behind this restricted content, which is crazy. I looked through my stuff. Nothing is restricted. Everything is. I even went there as like a regular person. I'm like, oh, all the videos are there. But I did see that happen to a lot of people, dude. Like, that's crazy. I don't know what they did, but they screwed up big time.
And I post PG content, you know, like there's next to no violence. Like hell, even when I've covered Mortal Kombat, I've literally cut out the gore. Oh. You know how hard that is for a Mortal Kombat clip?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel with All Things Xbox podcast tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. The support is greatly appreciated, and it should be a fun episode tonight.
Yep, looking forward to it, brother. And of course, lastly, and not leastly by any chance, Infinite Number. Let's sell the brand of The Fix. Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you and Daniel McGee talk about, well, everything in pop culture. There is some big Marvel news happening. Apparently, not only are there going to be 70 different heroes and villains in Doomsday happening next year, there's a lot going on where, you know, you have people from the set saying this movie is big. But I got to tell you, the more because I do a lot of like watching of videos. Like, I like the trades. I love talking about film. I just don't have time for it. And I got to tell you, a lot of the actors, and I know people are like, oh, you know, they're paid to say that. A lot of them aren't. And they're talking about the Russo brothers. Boy, the Russos are cooking with Doomsday. I can't freaking wait. Yeah, man.
I want to give a shout out, obviously, to Marcus Feely and I forgot the other guy's name. Feely and
Feely came back. The other guy didn't. Yeah, he stayed behind. Yeah, I thought both of them were going to come back, but it was just one with the Russos. But that's enough because they're cooking over there, and they need to after phases 4 and 5, which weren't that great, and a lot of initiatives done by Marvel. They should have known better. They really should have. But there is who was seen in London? Tobey Maguire was seen in London, even though he's not supposed to be in Doomsday, at least not as far as we know, but he was there. So that's where they're filming. ACG in the chat. ACG, I don't know if you're the actual ACG. If you are, dude, that is crazy that you're here. If you're not ACG, listen, brother, welcome to the channel. I've never seen the name before. He says, good job, folks. Well, that's very kind of you to say, dude. We don't use hate narratives. I frown upon it. I like being excited and laughing and talking about video games and having fun with this incredible community. That's what it's supposed to be about. I know a good friend of the channel, Pragmatic Eagle, says maybe people are getting tired of the BS controversy and fake outrage for a lot of content creators. I'll put it this way. The thing that's frustrating about YouTube is they tell you not to be controversial, right? They tell you not to use hate narratives. That's what they tell you to do. And you can get strikes on your channel. And that is deadly for anybody that has a YouTube channel. You get one, you can survive it, but you get two, you're walking on razor's edge every day. Because if you get three, your channel is just vaporized. It's gone. And it does seem like they reward the pricks of content creation. Like if someone is being an absolute D-bag, their stuff gets into the algorithm and 1 million people watch their stuff. And I'm like, wait a second, YouTube. I thought we were supposed to be good guys here. But you're saying that we have to be good guys, but you're not acting on that. And that's because they're making money. So there are rules and there's the reality. And the reality is, unfortunately, negativity sells. If it bleeds, it leads. You've heard me say that before. That's an old paper adage from, physical papers that people read. But yeah, and that's unfortunate. But listen, Ambra, sell the brand, brother. Where could people check out The Fix with you and Daniel McGee each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? And where can people follow you on the socials?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I put the link in the chat already, family. If you all have not subscribed to a brother, please do so. We have a great show on Thursdays. We've also added Crusader.
Oh, nice. That's right. That's right. I forgot you added a new panel member. Yes.
Yeah. He's in a full-time panel member with us. Some of you may remember him from the TXR podcast that were on Sundays. So we'll be covering up a ton of things. Obviously, on the 25th, we'll be covering Tokyo Game Show, like things that are shown. So and that'll be later in the day for us. So, but if you all want to look me up and find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite, you'll find me either way on social media. Thursdays, of course, typically the fix, like Boom alluded to, 8:00 p.m. Eastern. Fridays, the Infinite podcast hosted by Risky for the Biscuit, myself, that blue number, and Spriggan, aka Dante Moody, at 8:00 Eastern. And back here again with the fellas here. Great job, fellas. Good discussion. Always a pleasure to be here with you guys today, and all love to the chat.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of the show, as you are every Tuesday. You and Jamie make the show what it is. So thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the super chats, channel member chats, gifted subs, and the support behind the scenes with the channel memberships. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate it. We do have a big giveaway happening for Boom's Birthday Bash, the 7th annual Boom's Birthday Bash. That'll be happening, I believe it's usually on the Breakfast with Boom before my birthday, but I think it actually might fall on my birthday, which is September 25th. So again, my day in the sun with the balloons, but you fine folks are going to get the prizes, and Mrs. Boom and I are currently going over the funds to try and figure out exactly how much we can give away and what we can afford to give away, because we are saving for our first home. And, well, in New York, they don't make it easy, folks. Everything is so damn expensive. So, we're just doing it the old-fashioned way. We're, putting the grind hat to the floor and doing what we got to do and saving. But we are going to have a decent-sized giveaway, as we always do. So thank you for the super chats and all the other forms of support, because they do help us do the giveaways. And, of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care of everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.